Jackie, welcome to the show. Thanks for your time. I did have questions for you. So let's just dive right in.
Let's do it.
I see you posting on LinkedIn pretty frequently, right? I love that you're posting on entrepreneurship, and I've been following you in my feed and liking, commenting, all this stuff can relate. I love the emotional awareness too. One, a lot of entrepreneurs don't have that. So kudos to you on that. They're just more like, get it done, go, 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 right? And why isn't it done? So I think it's awesome. All the content you're putting out there is valuable. It's insightful. It's super inspiring. So I think you're definitely doing it the right way. There's not a lot of people that are doing that. What motivated you to start posting on LinkedIn? Is it daily or just the weekdays?
Well, it's weekdays and then I'm supposed to post on weekends, but honestly, half the time I forget because I don't know. I mean, I am very much like a work-life integration person. So I'm like working, like sometimes during the day, sometimes at night, sometimes on the weekends, but totally. I'm not as good at keeping up on those weekend posts. So my bad. But yeah, I mean, it's usually like 5 or 6 pieces of content every week. And what motivated me to get started? Well, have you seen Quentin Allums on LinkedIn?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He kind of convinced me to do it long ago when creators were he was one of the first creators on LinkedIn that started posting videos when the feed started supporting it. And when he was like 6 months in, he was telling me about what a crazy opportunity it was and how I had to get started. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. I was not into it at all. Just, because when you start putting out content, you kind of open yourself up to it. You, one, have this really beautiful thing of like building a community and meeting all these new people. And I've gotten so many benefits, but I was also really scared to, on the other hand, like open myself up to the criticism or,
Totally.
I mean, everything I'm posting is like my ideas and how I think about things in my brain. And it's very weird to let like, a large amount of people into that.
Right.
So I am glad that he convinced me to get started. I am forever grateful to him. I also recently started working with him again so that he forced me to get on TikTok, which I've been avoiding forever. So big shout out to him. He's always convincing me to try new things.
And how did you meet Quentin?
He was one of my first employees, actually.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. When I first started hiring employees, I think I had one full-time employee at the time, and I hired him as an intern. And I remember he came in, I had an office that was 300 square feet. Like, think about how small that is.
It's like studio.
It really is. But there was like one wall in the middle, and he came in and sat at my little desk in there. And he was like, oh, well, I had this internship and I think I could do this for you. And I was like, cool. You're hired. He was doing so many random things. Like I was fostering at the time, and he would like help me drive my foster daughter Lizzie to school because it was like a little out of the way of where I was typically going. And he was like writing blogs for the company and just like all over the place. So he eventually left to start his first company, which I always knew he would. And we have been working together on and off since then.
You're like, hey, ever thought about coming back?
Yeah. Well, I hired him, then I hired his company to work on LinkedIn with me, and they really held me accountable for the first year. And now I just hired him again to consult on my personal brand and help me with TikTok and stuff. So
that's awesome. So you didn't know him before the internship?
No.
Wow.
No. And I
that's
mean,
crazy.
Frankly, he was in college. So I think he was like 21 at the time that I met him.
That's awesome. And what about now? Do you like posting videos? I mean, I'm sure you've gotten comfortable over time, I'm assuming, right?
Kind of. I still feel like a weird resistance when I go to shoot them, right? Because it's like, you have to, especially mine, I try to keep them really concise and really like straight to the point and short, because that's how I like to learn. My attention span is very short, and I don't want to listen to like a 3-minute video.
Totally.
So there's like some level of pressure there, to kind of like have it all together. But I don't know. Yes, I have gotten a lot more used to it. And I think the videos are probably a lot better than they used to be.
Yeah. So what inspired you to become an entrepreneur, right? I mean, you've done sales, you've done marketing. What made you want to go out on your own?
I really was not planning to go out on my own. I was transitioning out of the company that I was managing their marketing department. So this was a private equity owned company. We had acquired another business that doubled the size of the company to like $70 million.
Wow.
So that was a big initiative. And then they announced that they were splitting off the other half of the company and selling it to a different private equity fund. And I didn't know if I wanted to stay along for that part of the ride. It was a lot of change. So I just started freelancing, and I kept getting responses to full-time applications that I was putting in, like, hey, we really want someone local in New York or wherever I was applying, but do you want to freelance for us? And I was like, I guess, I had not decided like, I'm off to start my own business.
Yeah.
But then by the time I did leave Zywave, I had decided that I was going to start my own thing. And I mean, I had a baby, and I was like, oh, it'll be more flexibility and I'll have more time.
That's intense.
That was all false, but
that's intense. How many kids do you have now?
3. Yeah.
Wow. And one's foster, you said?
So one I adopted from foster care when she was 9. She's now 14. One my husband adopted when she was a baby. She is now 10. And then my son is 10 too. The 2 10-year-olds are 10 days apart. They're in the same class at school. They rat on each other for everything. It's hilarious.
I love that. We have one.
Much.
It's a 2.5-year-old. His name is Dustin, a little toddler. And, he's like into include me in everything you do kind of thing. And then he's like, Dada, this way. And then he'll literally, even when I try to discipline him, he's like, Dada, listen. I'm like, oh my God, how do you like not take that seriously? It's so hard. Yeah.
Some of my friends yesterday were saying like, I don't know how you discipline a kid. I would just laugh. And I was like, well, we laugh too when they say these crazy things. And it's like
the same thing. I'll be busting out laughing, and my friends are like trying to discipline their kid, and I'm just in a corner like laughing, and the kid just eyeballing like, this is funny, I should keep going, right?
All they need is that like little tiny opening to keep going.
That's all they need. Yeah, and then we were already having conversations about adopting and stuff. So I just love this whole conversation too.
That's amazing.
It's awesome. Another thing I wanted to ask you too. So how do you pronounce your company name? Because I will chop it up, I promise.
Accelity.
Accelity.
Accelity. Yeah.
Gotcha. Accelity. So tell me a little bit about your marketing agency, because everyone, that has an agency runs it different. Everyone has a different business model. What do you guys do specifically, and how do you guys differentiate yourself from your competitors?
Yeah, we work with B2B SaaS companies, so software as a service companies, in a few specific industries that we have experience in. So that's like healthcare, banking and finance, insurance. A lot of my leadership team is from the InsurTech company that we worked at previously. I think that one thing that makes us really different is none of us worked at an agency before we started this company. So nice. We're building it in a way that makes the most sense to us, not the way that agencies do it. And I think that makes it really different, because we've all been on the other end of working with agencies and saying like, this doesn't make sense to us, or this takes forever, or, like, this is how I want to look at the ROI of this, and I'm not seeing it from the agency. So we kind of get to look at it with the perspective of people who have worked with agencies and build it in that way. That said, I mean, there are some things that run very much like a typical agency, but I think we're always looking to improve and deliver our services more effectively, faster, especially when you're working with like funded SaaS companies.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to work with a really, like slow turnaround.
Old traditional, we'll get back to you. Gotta get in contact with our guy from India. Oh my gosh.
No, they're like, they want to move really fast, and we are kind of tasked with keeping up with them. It's exciting.
Yeah. And I love that you guys are marketers, experienced marketers, not just the agency, the politics, all that stuff. Right. So I need to get a hold of my account manager. It's been 2 weeks. Like that stuff when they feel neglected, the customer is just, they're going to shop around for someone else that will take care of them and that will value them and personalize it for them, right? The whole experience. So another thing I had a question about is, what services do you guys provide specifically, or is it just more of a digital marketing all-inclusive type package?
Yeah, we are a HubSpot partner. So we resell
Nice.
HubSpot and do some implementation for them. We have recently been becoming a little more product agnostic, where we're working in a few different marketing automation platforms. That's something we're still developing right now.
Hmm.
But often we're working with companies who either don't have a marketing team and a marketing like program at
Very
all,
startup then.
or yeah, very startup. I mean, some of them are like 3, 4, 5 person teams that
Hmm.
have gotten funding and they're like, we need someone to build this for us. And those are always really fun clients to work with because it's like a fresh start and we get to just like dream up the strategy and go and execute it. But then some of our clients come to us and they have a marketing program that's not working for them in some way, like they're doing the things, but it's not optimized. So, I mean, it's not exactly a one-stop shop. I think that's sometimes where agencies make mistakes because you can't really be good at every single part of digital marketing. But we are exploring ways to make it more of a one-stop shop via things like partnerships. Like
Right.
we're developing a partnership with a PPC company right now because we know that PPC is not our specialty, but we
Hmm.
want it to be available to our clients. So we do a lot of content creation, inbound marketing. We dabble a bit in sales enablement and sales sequences and stuff like that for our clients. So it's kind of all over the board.
I love that. So it's also content marketing, social media, all that stuff as well too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you guys also provide videos, all that stuff too for them?
Yeah, we've gotten to do more of it. So, like,
Mm.
if you look at my website, all the video on my site is created by my team. They're so good at it. But it's interesting now, we're working with clients all over the place.
Yeah.
And so, figuring out how to provide video services, like, we have a client in Egypt, we have a client in Australia. How do you provide video services when your clients are all over the place? That's something we're
Right.
figuring out right now. But we do have an animator on our team as well.
Nice.
Yeah, he came on and he was like, oh, well, I love doing animating, but I'm sure I'm not going to get to do much of it. And then immediately a project popped up with one of our clients wanting an animated video. So that's one way to address that too. And he's so talented.
That's awesome. He came off the bench. He's
Yeah,
like, yes, I'm going to start today.
he's pumped. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Now, who is your ideal client
Yeah.
specifically? I know we talked about B2B SaaS, but like if you had to narrow it down, and I'm pretty sure you have the answer to this,
Yeah.
like I'm talking about like annual sales volume, I'm talking
Yep.
about employee size, all that stuff.
Yeah, usually it's funded pre-revenue to about $30 million. And what matters the most is what their marketing team looks like. Like the company that I was working at before I started Accelity, we had a marketing team of 2. It turned into 3, like right when I was leaving at a
Yeah.
$70 million company. So a company like that, we probably could work with because they're so understaffed in marketing. So that's a
Mm.
long answer, but yes, that's our ideal
No, no,
client.
no, that's good. Now, because our podcast is for B2B marketers and they might be like, oh, I fit that criteria kind of thing. And there's
Mhm.
that need. How can they get in contact with you, Jackie, or the company?
Probably hit me up on LinkedIn. I think I'm the most responsive there because I'm in the inbox all
Yeah,
day responding to people. So that's a good
totally.
place. Or you can visit our website too.
Awesome. Now, with running an agency, I can relate with this is there's a lot of experimenting too, because we do a lot of things for the clients. And then we're also up to date when it comes to marketing, technology trends, all that stuff, right? Do you have any advice or tips for B2B marketing professionals based on what
I
you guys have learned?
Yeah, I mean, you really have to stay on top of and make sure that you are always learning. I think that is sometimes the professionals will make a mistake because you'll get into your job and you get so into the client work and whatever it is that you're not taking the time to learn. So you have to find a way that works for you. Like I subscribe to the TLDR newsletter. Like it's perfect content for me. Too long, didn't read, great. It's little snippets that I can research more of, but then I know what's happening with like algorithm changes and content marketing trends and all of that kind of stuff. We often test on ourselves too. So things like we ungated all of our content, which I know is something that people were talking about like 6, 12 months ago,
Right.
to work on getting more traffic volume to our site and getting more people to raise their hands as demo requests. We were redoing our lead scoring and just trying to figure out, like what is working for us that we can apply to client accounts. So I think that there is still a broken model in place in inbound marketing where people are using lead scoring incorrectly. We're gating a lot of content. We're dialing the people that download one time and they're not even ready or aware of your company or anything like that. So I think we've kind of tainted that process, and it's rife for disruption right now.
What have you seen as the most, and last question, what have you seen as the most effective for inbound leads specifically? Has it been like podcasting? Has it just been LinkedIn? Has it been the website? Any other efforts that you guys are doing?
For us, it's probably, I mean, the volume of leads that we get is largely tied to LinkedIn, but it's not only LinkedIn though. Every single time we have a prospect in our funnel, or even someone that like we have a top target list. So maybe we have 25 companies that we really want to work with. We'll go and we'll add all of the decision makers at those companies into my LinkedIn. We'll interact on their content. Then my content will be showing up on their feed. So it's not that LinkedIn is always driving the leads, but it's reinforcing our value until they want to talk to us. I think that looking at every marketing activity as a lead source is a mistake, right? I don't think that leads come from every single marketing activity. And sometimes it's awareness building or trust building, or it's helping speed up the sales process, but it's not actually generating leads. It's interesting because like when HubSpot started preaching inbound marketing, however many years ago, it was a lead generation thing. And that's something that we have had to kind of back out of a little bit too, is talking about marketing generated leads versus marketing generated revenue, or looking at intent. I don't know. There's a lot of changes happening right now.
There is a lot of changes. Even Google's making a lot of changes too. So
I know.
We've been getting inquiries around page speed, right? Because page speed matters. So we've been getting a lot of that too. So Google's changing, HubSpot's changing, the marketing's changing. Like what's going to be the next big thing, right? Everyone's looking for the thing ahead. So this is exciting.
Yeah, it's been cool too, watching people try to like re-crack email marketing in the last year or so too, because so many companies started sending, I think I read that last year they sent like 8 billion more emails than in 2019, which is an insane number. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was close. And so it's like really only the best email marketers are getting to the inbox and are getting through. So it's like re-examining, how do we send good emails and what makes people open? What makes a good email? Like I was asking my team what I should send out in my weekly newsletter. And their response was, are newsletters even effective anymore? Like, why are you sending a newsletter?
I thought that too. I was like, I'm using Asana as a project management tool. I was like, email's dead. And then I saw all these statistics on infographics. I'm like, it's still like the number 2. Like, oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And we got into, my team's so cool because they'll be like, they're not like, oh yes, boss, you're sending a newsletter. Here are our ideas. They're like, well, why are you doing that?
They'll challenge you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's really cool because it's like, I'm looking at my strategy and how it's different than a typical newsletter. It's not like a roundup of crappy content, which a lot of newsletters are. It's like a weekly letter that makes you think, that digs a little deeper than my LinkedIn content. And therefore it's different and has so far been getting a good response. But it like makes you think through all of that, not just like, let's start a newsletter and send out all of the things we published on our blog. That doesn't, we kind of have to rethink everything right now to get people's attention. It's a very interesting environment.
It is. Now, do you have your personal blog? And if I subscribe to your blog, that's considered the newsletter because you'll send me the email once certain blogs are posted?
I don't post too much on my personal blog. I should post more. I'm actually writing longer form content just for my email list. That's it's kind of like a blog, but kind of not. Go sign up for it and you can check it out.
I will.
It's definitely, it is kind of like a blog, but it's very straightforward. It's very like make you think content. So like the last one, I talked about how a video that I put up on TikTok went like semi-viral, and people kept saying, how do you find the time to grow a business? And so the last week's letter was about how time isn't something that you find, it's something that you make, and how to go about actually making time for yourself to do the things that you want. So there's a little bit of like mindset work there, and then a little bit of tactical, like, here's what I did to find the time to grow a company with a baby at home while I was working full time to start,
Right.
So it's kind of like all of my stories and learnings intertwined together. It's been fun to write so far.
No, that's good. What I've been thinking about doing is a personal blog, because I have the company blog, but then it's like, hey, here's Jesus's personal blog within the same domain, honestly. So people can subscribe to it. And then it's like a weekly digest of here's the 3 blogs Jesus posted, right?
Yeah.
But more for like SEO purposes. Like if I do a long form content, that stuff's going to get indexed and crawled kind of thing. And then obviously I'm limited for Google search, because LinkedIn is, if you're a member, you're just a member as a LinkedIn member. So I don't really get a lot of SEO juice, for lack of a better term. And on top of that, I'm only limited to certain characters on LinkedIn too. So for me, I'm like, keywords, sky's the limit. I'll write whatever I want on the personal, but I'm experimenting. I don't even know how this is going to turn out. That's the fun thing about it.
That's good. That's why I love marketing so much, because literally everything is an experiment. You can read about what works for other people, and it's not going to work in that exact same way for you.
Right.
So it's like a little bit of learning, best practices, testing, adjusting. It's a whole process.
Awesome. Well, let's end it there so we can get food.
Yes.
Take a little break. Thank you for your time, Jackie. And we'll definitely have to connect sometime. Send me a DM with your newsletter so I can sign up for it. Okay.
I totally will. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep. You make it a great day.
You too.